What's good, YouTube?
An elimination.
I'm a Boise State fan. I'm just curious to see what the rankings are looking like after BYU's loss. We need more chaos in the Big 12. Just so then Boise State can get a top 4 spot. That would help them a lot. But in the event that that doesn't happen, maybe Boise State can get a home game for the first week of the playoff, but we'll see.
Georgia, the Dogs keep their playoff hopes alive. Carson Beck tosses 2
but they have their third loss. How are they still even in the conversation?
Beck played mistake-free football, considering he had multiple turnovers in 4 straight games coming in, and it was the freshman Nate Frazier in the fourth quarter who made it a 2-score game as Georgia wins it 31-17. Georgia's won 8 straight meetings against Tennessee, each by 14 points. Number 1 team in the nation tested on the road at Wisconsin, and the Ducks barely beat the Badgers. A failed 4th-down conversion could have cost Oregon.
Awareness, bro.
They went for a fake field goal, and they came up short. And then Wisconsin gave the ball right back. Mateo Uiagalelei picked off Braden Locke in the final minute, and Oregon kneels it out to win 16-13 and improve to 11-0. Colorado two-way star Travis Hunter continues his Heisman campaign. First player this season with a rushing touchdown and an interception in the same game as Colorado defeats Utah.
Oh my gosh.
49-24. The Bucs
Sorry, dude. The glaze with Travis kind of pisses me off,
since
bro.
2016, and they still control their own destiny to reach the Big 12 title game.
So, take a look at that. That right there, that's 3 making a play that somehow falls into Travis being in the right spot. He's literally just in the right spot at the right time. He had nothing to do with this play, but he gets the pick. He gets the pick, and then everybody's going to glaze him saying his 3rd interception of the year. Like, okay.
Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, BYU, Tennessee going to likely fall
entering Saturday.
Out of the top 12, with Georgia moving up. Miami idle this week. Notre Dame taking care of business. Alabama taking care of business. Ole Miss off. Georgia going to get into the bracket now because, of course, you're going to have Boise State as the 12 seed in the bracket because they're the highest ranked group of 5 champion as projected. So Georgia will be in the playoff field come Tuesday. CBS Sports HQ, built by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Back here with 2-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden, and welcome in 24/7 Sports college football analyst Brad Crawford. Tennessee and Georgia dominating our conversation here, Brad. And BMAC thinks that now 6 teams, if they all win out, those 6 teams, and I'll name them for you: Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. They all win out. They're all getting in. Your thoughts?
Now, I think the
6 SEC teams
in the playoff, Hakeem, and it'll be 5 if one thing happens. If Penn State or Indiana is left out at 11-1, that's the 5th spot for the SEC. But right now, if Penn State and Indiana both finish 11-1 and get into the playoff as at-large teams, as the 3rd and 4th Big Ten teams, then you're going to have Tennessee or Texas at 10-2 being left out. Now, I say that if A&M beats Texas, but there's no chance 6 teams get in from the SEC.
Okay, good.
I think 4 right now is going to be the number.
Good. Okay.
Well, I see it like this, Brad, and I think this is going to be a great back and forth and understanding the dynamics in the SEC. So this is the hypothetical that I just laid out, right? I think it's safe to say Georgia wins out, Brad. Georgia is in. Correct?
That's if Carson Beck doesn't keep throwing interceptions, but we'll see.
So if Georgia makes it, Alabama, they went out, they're in. You can't forget about Ole Miss. If Ole Miss wins out, Ole Miss beat Georgia. They're in. So if
I'll tell you what, I think Ole Miss is hella underrated. I know they had the 2 losses at the beginning of the season, bro. But Jackson Dart and that defensive line, they're weapons. They have some weapons on that team, and I think that they could make a run, honestly. And even surprise some people, and maybe even play for the SEC Conference Championship. But we'll see.
Texas wins out, they're in for sure. But even if Texas loses to A&M, when you look at a team that was ranked number 1 in the country, right now I think they're top 3. If they lose to A&M, which would be considered a good loss, when you look at what A&M has done, I think it's hard for the committee to leave Texas out of the playoffs.
True, they have 1 loss, but they haven't beat.
The pedigree, everything that's associated with Texas, not to mention this is a team that once upon a time...
Texas doesn't have any good wins. Like, they're 9-1, but they haven't really had, like, many huge wins, I'm pretty sure. So, but they do have one loss, and I think they're first in the SEC right now. So
Time throughout this year was considered the #1 team in the country, and as I look right now, I think they're top 3. I think that would be hard for them to fall from 3 all the way out the top 12. And if you're Tennessee, granted Tennessee could be the odd man out, but they got a legit right, because if Alabama makes it, guess what? Tennessee can have an argument. We beat Alabama, and the last game of the season we beat Vandy, who beat Alabama. And right now, beating Vandy is considered a quality win when you look at how competitive
That's crazy.
they've been.
isn't that crazy to see Vanderbilt above all these teams? Oklahoma, Arkansas had a good run in the beginning of the season, but they've also had a lot of close losses.
The chaos that will happen if all of those things takes place. But I get your point. 6 is a lot, no question. But if these things surface, A&M beats Texas, you're telling me they're going to leave a 2-loss Texas team out, but then you have a 2-loss Bama team make it? You have a 2-loss Georgia team make it as well? I don't know if that would stand. It's just hard for me to see that happen. If
Georgia has
A&M
2 losses. Okay.
If A&M finds a way to beat Texas, a team that was once considered the #1 team in the country.
Brad, it does make sense. I mean, you can see how somebody would argue that on the committee.
If Texas loses to Texas A&M, the Longhorns do not have a single win this season over a top 25 team.
That's what I was saying. They don't have a single win over a top 25 team yet. So they have a legitimate chance if they win out. But they really got to show their strength and beat a top 25 team.
The committee's rankings. Texas is getting left out at 10-2 if they lose at Kyle Field, and there's 4 or 5 other SEC teams getting in. I just don't see it happening, fellas. There's not enough at-large spots for 6 SECs to get in. Max would be 5, and I'm still sticking with my preseason projection of 4. I think it'll be Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and then Ole Miss. Tennessee's going to be that odd man out at 10-2.
I agree.
So you said Georgia,
Alabama,
Bama,
Texas, and Ole Miss.
Texas, Ole Miss, right?
And then Indiana at 11-1 gets in over 10-2 Tennessee.
So let me ask this question, Brad. You said if Texas loses to A&M, they have 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee Tennessee being a more valuable team to get into the playoffs with 2 losses over Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they had that win over Alabama, and Texas does not have a quality win. Yep.
So maybe 5 teams then in from the SEC.
I mean,
So that might be what ends up happening.
Even if it's 5 teams, I feel like that is a surprise.
Yeah.
Because to Brad's point, most felt like 4 would get in from the SEC. But if they're able to get 5, I think that's the reality. I definitely believe that that's the reality when you look at the traffic jam of light teams, 2-loss teams. How many legit 2-loss teams the SEC has that can make a case saying we're deserving of getting in? Because they've played each other. Bama beat Georgia, Tennessee beat Bama, Georgia beat Tennessee.
Heck, I'll make a case for South Carolina at 7-3 right now. They won 4 in a row. Like Shane Beamer is Beamer ball back in Columbia. Like there are teams coming on. I'm not being like
They're not going to win out. I'm sorry,
real,
no.
but I'm just telling you, like this has been a season in the SEC that I can't remember one like this where there's so much parity.
Well,
and
you added,
this is the first season with no
3 teams?
divisions. It's created absolute chaos.
Which is good. This is what we want.
Well, but what it allows now is you're getting a couple extra teams in a 12-team playoff, and then eventually one day we'll be 16 teams.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to say this. I don't like the idea of these super conferences. I think it's way better if you just got teams where they're located in their own conference, in my opinion. And then you schedule these bigger games, and you just don't go off your win count. You go off like strength of schedule. So, and this is the issue with the SEC is they're going to look at, well, they're in the SEC and they have 3 losses, but they're strength of schedule, and then they're going to throw in 6 teams. I don't like that, bro. That's bullshit, and that's unfair to the rest of the conferences.
If SEC gets 5 in, you better believe they're trying to figure ways to add more spots.
Well, the Big 12 will be probably only getting in 1 team. Colorado controls its own destiny to reach the Big 12 title game. Well, yeah, the ACC. But we're going to talk about Colorado right now. They beat Utah on Saturday. B-Mac, the Buffs are 8-2.
Yeah.
They had 4 wins last season. How are you evaluating this team at this point?
They're the best team in the Big 12 right now, Brad. Hakeem. Yes, I say it. I said it, I believe it. And the reason why I believe they're the best team in the Big 12, number one, they have the best quarterback in the Big 12, and he leads this team mightily. Number two, they have the best playmaker in college football in Travis Hunter. But the most surprising factors for me with this team and why I believe they're the best team in the Big 12, they have improved tremendously in the trenches. Remember, that was an Achilles heel for their team. Offensive line play, defensive line play. They both have improved throughout this season.
Please, Kansas, come in clutch and just upset Colorado. Please.
Rushing attack, they've done a great job in doing so. Being able to run the football, provide a sense of balance, they've done a great job in doing that. And most importantly, protect offense's rushing attack, offensive line play, defensive line play. They both have improved throughout this season. When you look at what they've done, stopping opposing offense's rushing attack, they've done a great job in doing so. Being able to run the football, provide a sense of balance, they've done a great job in doing that. And most important...
I'm sorry, you think they've done a great job rushing the ball? Their total is 770. They have 3,200 passing yards. They throw the ball 80% of the time. This is bullshit. The hype it... Bro, stop. Genty's got over 1,000 more rushing yards than your entire team combined. Nah, dude.
Shedeur Sanders, just a little better than what they've done in weeks past. Heck, going back to last year, they have done a great job in improving to protect their star quarterback. When you look at the playmakers they have, the talent they have, it's hard to overlook what they've done and what they could do moving forward. And they're just clicking at the right time. Mike Tomlin used to tell us all the time, when it gets close to playoff moments, two things happen. Either you're thriving or you're surviving. Colorado's a team that's currently thriving.
Yeah, they are. Next week, Colorado plays Kansas at Arrowhead in Kansas City, followed by their regular season finale at home against Oklahoma State as they control their own destiny. It is incredible what has happened in one season in Colorado. All right, let's take a look at Brad's top 12 teams. We know the third set of rankings are coming up on Tuesday. Brad, who do you have? Who's in your top 12 at this point?
Yeah, as long as BYU wins tonight, I think the top 6 remains unchanged. And then
so this is after BYU lost.
I think Tennessee
so we know they're out.
12, replacing Georgia. I think Georgia moves up to number 9. Okay. You'll see Notre Dame and Miami move up. There's a chance that with Georgia's win over Tennessee, perhaps the committee puts Georgia at maybe 7 or 8, pretty much locking the Bulldogs in with 10 wins. But there's going to be some changes for sure.
Nah, bro. They got 2 losses. Maybe they're considering strength of schedule now. Fucking hell, bro. Are you kidding me?
Penn State, Ole Miss, possible first-round game. That would be great in Oxford, home game there. Boise State at Ohio State. Right now, Boise State winning against San Jose State still has them in that G5 lock. But if Army beats Notre Dame next week and finishes unbeaten and then beats Tulane, well, then we're talking about the resume for Army being better than what Boise State has. Tulane's good, fellas. They've won 8 straight games, and Army plays them. So, and then Alabama, Indiana's another one. So there's some really quality.
This shit scares me because Army, I mean, they have a legitimate chance to beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is known to have been selling every year that they somehow find a way to lose these games that they should have won. I would not be surprised if Notre Dame gets blown out by Army. All Army does is run the ball. If they can figure out how to stop the run, they're good. We got to pray for Notre Dame. Please, Notre Dame, please come in clutch.
First-round matchups coming up if this projected top 12 comes to fruition.
Any reaction to that, what you saw?
I think that's definitely feasible. I think that is a possibility. And Brad made a great point in terms of Army, because that is the next big game for Army and Notre Dame. Neutral site, if not mistaken.
Yankee Stadium.
Yes, Yankee Stadium. If they somehow beat the Fighting Irish, number one, that would knock the Fighting Irish out of any playoff potential brackets. They would be done. But then what happens with Army when you look at the group of 5 play in Boise? Because to Brad's point, that win over Notre Dame in this hypothetical would trump anything that Boise has done, in my opinion, when you look at the entire structure of the season. So that could be something that when we were, because if you look at Army, Bryson Daly, when healthy, he's the Taysom Hill of their offense.
Yeah.
He's a physical runner, and guess what? They can throw the football. Just enough to make you respect it. So that is an intriguing matchup for Notre Dame, and I think it could be the biggest game on Notre Dame's schedule. Where you look at
This guy is talking
how
straight
we
bullshit.
visualize-
First he said Colorado can run the ball. Then he says Army can pass the ball? Go look at their numbers and tell me that they can run and pass the ball.
their season panning out. The Army game might be the biggest game.
Brad, do you think if Army wins, because we're in a hypothetical, of course, but if Army were to win and match up against Tulane in the American title game, would that winner be ranked higher than a Boise State Mountain West champion? That's where I don't know. What do you say?
Yes, right now the committee does not respect Army's schedule, but
Right.
that changes the next couple of weeks.
If they
If
beat
they
Notre
beat
Dame.
Notre Dame Stadium and then they beat Tulane, because Tulane's going to come into that game on like a 9-game winning streak. Only 2 losses this year came to Power 4 teams. So that would be one top 10 win, one top 20 win. And then you look at Army's full body of work versus Boise State. I mean, Boise State's best win right now is UNLV and Washington State. They have a quality loss. So I would, if I'm on the committee, I would put an unbeaten Army with wins over Notre Dame and Tulane over Boise State.
Well, we will have the third set of rankings here on Tuesday. Brad will be alongside. We'll break them down. BMAC will weigh in as well as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the college football playoff. We're just about a month away. First round
Preseason
games are set
my
for
prediction
December
right now?
20th. Here's a look at the odds to win the national title.
Ohio State. It makes
plus
sense.
320.
Who has the most juice, you think? If you had to, not on any of the favorites.
Notre Dame plus 2,000. Notre Dame's a nasty.
Hey, don't
team
sleep on
to
Indiana, though.
Illinois. Their defense
Indiana's
is
coach?
nasty. Riley
Nah,
Leonard
he
threw
knows
3
what he's
touchdown
doing.
passes
Kirknetti?
today. I mean, this
He's a
is
great
team
coach.
coming on. That's who I would put my money on if I were going to do
I
a
like
little
Notre
value.
Dame.
But Ohio State, my money's on Ohio State. 8 titles in school history. Their last was in 2014, the first year of the college football playoff.
That's going to be it for this one.